please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening, you're watching CNBC TV18. I'm Arundhati Ramanan and this is Reporter's Diary. Straight to the top story this evening, Budget 2018 has dashed our hopes. A strong statement there coming in from the Vice Chief of the Army, Lieutenant General Sarath to the Parliamentary Panel on Defence. CNBC TV18 has accessed his oral deposition to the panel, in which he claims the budget allocation for defence leaves them with a shortfall of over 12,000 crore rupees. Responding to his deposition, the Parliamentary Panel said it is aghast to note this dismal scenario. Rituparna Bhuyan is here with more details on this news break. Ritu, take us through the deposition made by the Vice Chief of the Army and how the Parliamentary Panel responded to his comments.
Lieutenant General Sarath Chand went on to say that the marginal increase in budget estimates for capital acquisition for the army is barely, barely accounts for the inflation and doesn't cater to the tax liabilities of the army for the kind of weapon platforms that it is basically procuring. He goes on to say that there are 125 ongoing projects of the army as far as modernization is concerned, and there are already committed liabilities, and hence the kind of money that has been allocated for capital acquisition is absolutely not enough. He also talks about how there are 25 Make in India projects that the army was looking at for procuring indigenous weapon platforms. And as a result of the meager allocation that has been made for capital acquisition of the army, many of these projects may end up foreclosed. In fact, he's not the only one who has raised a red flag. Even the Navy representative, while deposing before the same panel, said, and I quote, there has been disparity over the last 3 years in modernization versus committed liability. The Parliamentary Panel has taken note of these comments and has said that the committee is aghast to note this dismal scenario, and it has directed the Finance Ministry to increase or pump up the allocation for Army, Navy and Air Force as far as capital acquisition is concerned. This as a scenario has happened because there is a shortfall of at least 17,557 crore with the army as far as the kind of projected cost that it had as far as new weapon systems are concerned, and the kind of allocation that it got. For Navy, the shortfall is around rupees 15,691 crore, while for the Indian Air Force, it is a whopping 41,924 crores. With that, it's back to you.
All right, Ritu, thank you so much for taking us through those details. Moving on, in what comes as a big relief for those who've either who don't have Aadhaar cards or those who haven't yet linked the unique ID to various services, the Supreme Court has pushed the deadline for Aadhaar linkages indefinitely. The March 31st deadline has been extended as the Constitution Bench of the Apex Court continues to hear the Aadhaar matter. Ashmit Kumar joins us now. Ashmit, how big of a relief is this for consumers?
Well, for those of us who've been getting messages from both banks as well as telcos for linking of Aadhaar, either your bank account or your mobile number, well, we can breathe easy, at least as of now. The Apex Court making it very, very clear that the hearings that are currently taking place with respect to the issues that have been raised with the mandatory application of Aadhaar, those hearings will continue for some time, and on account of that, the Apex Court has clearly provided that the March 31st deadline needs to be extended, that they need to pass this order now so that it's not a last-minute change that needs to be made, and that this order, this extension, is indefinite in nature. What the Supreme Court has held is that as of till the date of their judgment, as of their judgment, when they pass their judgment, until that date, there can be no mandatory application of Aadhaar. And now what's critical here is that the Aadhaar case is currently being heard. A whole batch of petitions which raise questions about starvation deaths, questions raised about how people are being denied their basic amenities, questions even raised by the likes of Jairam Ramesh, who in fact argued that the entire bill has been passed as a money bill, whereas it's not. So all of those constitutional questions of law are being heard. So in the interim, the Apex Court seeing it fit to pass these orders, extending the deadline indefinitely till the date of judgment in the Aadhaar case. Back to you.
So the Aadhaar deadline there being extended indefinitely. Ashmit, while you're with us, the Apex Court today has shut the door on foreign lawyers and law firms from practicing in Indian courts. However, the court has ruled that foreign lawyers could visit India on a temporary basis in the purpose of rendering legal advice to their clients. So take us through the Supreme Court's ruling over there.
Well, as far as foreign law firms are concerned, now this is one key area where the government had been pushing hard for liberalizing the legal market, for opening up the legal market. They have been pushing hard, in fact, for arbitration proceedings to develop here in India, for India to be made a hub. And this in some ways perhaps comes as a roadblock. What today's judgment essentially means is that foreign law firms and lawyers who are looking to practice here, they are not allowed to set up shop here. The current laws and the mechanisms that are currently in place, the Supreme Court says, are just not enough to provide for foreign law firms or lawyers to set up shop here in the country. Having said that, also important to flag perhaps two key exceptions that the Apex Court has pointed out. The first is the fly-in, fly-out clause. Under this, what the Apex Court has held that it would be par for course for lawyers to be reined in, to be engaged, in fact, for certain individual cases for rendering legal advice, where they can be flown into the country, and as the name suggests, after the matter is over, they will have to fly out. So individual engagements with foreign lawyers and law firms can be allowed. That's one exception. The second exception is that in cases of arbitration, commercial arbitration, where India is the hub, in such cases, the institutional rules and regulations, as long as they're complied with, the Supreme Court says even in such cases, foreign law firms and lawyers can be allowed. But for now, the Apex Court laying the law of the land that foreign law firms and lawyers cannot set up shop here in the country. Back to you.
Absolutely. All right, Ashmit, thank you so much for taking us through those details. Time for a break on that note, but up next, we get you an exclusive news break on the PNB scam, and you don't want to miss that. Stay tuned for that. Welcome back onto a CNBC TV18 news break, and this one is a big update from the big bank fraud. The PNB fraud could be even bigger than the already revised estimate of 12,700 crore rupees. The CBI has told the special court hearing the matter that PNB has filed a supplementary complaint with some additional findings. So what's the new figure? Utkarsh Chaturvedi joins us now with the details. Utkarsh, what are you picking up?
So an amount of 942 crores has been added to the current complaint against the Gitanjali Group. So now the whole amount of fraud against the Gitanjali Group stands at somewhere around 7,080 crores instead of 6,138 crores. And that results in the whole scam now getting bigger by 942 crores, and now it is 13,500 crore rupees. What CBI also did today was that it has added a section of 409, which is the criminal breach of trust against Gokulan Shetty. What it does is that the current cases and all the current sections were limited to 10 years of imprisonment. This makes the whole case more murkier, and now there'll be a lifetime imprisonment in the section 409. Also, one relief to CBI, which is more procedural, but in the current case, CBI would have to file a charge sheet in 60 days, but with section 409 adding, now it's a 90 days relief which CBI has. But more than that, the amount really getting increased is a bigger thing. It is the second time, in fact, the third time. There was one where a small amount of some crores was also added, and now it is swollen to somewhere around 13,500 crores. You have to really wait and watch and get the details whether these were the LOUs or any other scam within the same group which happened in this case.
Out of time though on this edition of Reporters Diary. Thanks a lot for watching the show and listening to all the discussions. Stay tuned to CNBC TV 18